Welcome to another edition of Nature Notes. Today we are going to be talking about a plant that is in almost every part of Schmeekly. And it's one of the plants that people come in all the time and talk about, and that plant is buckthorn. Buckthorn is an invasive plant. There are two versions of it. There's glossy buckthorn, and then there's common buckthorn or Eurasian buckthorn. Both came over from Europe in about the 1800s. And they were brought over to provide either privacy rows, so hedges in between people's property to keep other people from spying on you, or windbreaks on farms. And the reason that they were used for that is because they would grow very quickly, they would grow very densely, they would be the first to have leaves on it and the last to have leaves on it, and because of all these reasons is why it's actually really invasive. When it got out into the environment, it would grow very quickly, it would leaf out very quickly, and it would end up killing out all the other surrounding plants, the native plants, because they just could not compete. Now, when you're trying to figure out if you have buckthorn, there's a couple things that will kind of tip you off on whether or not it is buckthorn. One thing is, right about now, when most things have lost its leaves, it will still have this. This was picked today, and as you can see, the leaves are still green, they're still attached. This was also picked today. Isn't the case on all buckthorn. The leaves of the buckthorn is going to be more of an oval. Common buckthorn will have a serrated edge. Glossy buckthorn will not have the serrated edge, it'll have a simple edge. And you'll see really deep veins in the backside. Common buckthorn is more used to drier soils. Glossy buckthorn you'll find in wetter soils. So no matter what type of soil you have, you probably will also have buckthorn. When it gets a little bit larger, but not yet too large, you'll notice all of these lenticels. This is another way that I tend to get tipped off on whether or not it's buckthorn. These things, lenticels, if you're not aware, lenticels are a way that the plant exchanges gases, carbon dioxide in, oxygen out, on the branch or the trunk of the tree. Now these are about as big as we try to let it get in Schmeekly. However, there are some places in Schmeekly where it's much larger. They will get up to 20 to 25 feet tall. And at that point, it's much more difficult to remove. Now, a lot of people say, okay, let's get rid of these. And depending on who you talk to, they all have a different idea on how to get rid of it. You could get rid of it by, some people actually use fire as a way. The problem with fire is that you have to burn it year after year. And with fire, you try to only burn as often as it would naturally occur, and that's usually not yearly. The seed bank, usually that goes away within about a year or so, so the seed bank isn't too much of a concern, but it does have the seeds of the buckthorn. So how do you get rid of it? What's the best way? If you chop it down, you'll chop it down and about 10 sprouts will pop up in its place and grow even quicker than it did to begin with. So that's not a good method to just chop it down alone. Lawnmowers are not a good idea. However, if you were to chop it down and then spray it down with either one of these two chemicals, which are the chemicals that we use on Schmeekly's property. I got this from the maintenance supervisor today. One is a herbicide, and one is the penetrant, which allows the chemicals to get into the particular plant. That is the method that we use most. We also will spray the herbicide directly on the plant as a foliage application, and hopefully it takes it in with the leaves. The best way, however, to get rid of this plant is with one of these things here, and this is a weed puller, and all it does is help you provide leverage. When a plant gets to be about this big, it's very difficult to pull it up by hand. So what you do is you place it in the jaws here, and then you knock down the jaws so that it gets nice and tight, and then you use the leverage to pull the plant out of the ground. But of course, when they're either too large for that or it's just too thick For this to be effective, you would want to use the other herbicides after you chop it down. And then because it's so rampant, you might lose your place where you are cutting these down and trying to apply pesticides. And you don't want to apply too much pesticide, therefore you would use a dye stick and dye. And you would dye each of the cut stems with it. And it doesn't really do anything but provide you a marker to say, I've been here before, chemicals have been applied. There's also a number of other ideas that people have. It seems like everybody will come in here and tell me the best way to get rid of buckthorn. And you can buy bags and provide bags over the top of them. You can girdle buckthorn. That's where you take a strip out of the bottom of a plant, off the bark, and that usually will suffocate the plant and cause it to die. Doesn't work so well with buckthorn unless you also apply a herbicide to that girdled area. And everybody has an idea. So far we've found to cut it down and provide the herbicide to it as the most effective, and that's what we do. Normally when you go through Speakly, you'll hear that you should not pull up any plants. I've been advised by the maintenance supervisor that buckthorn is the one exception. However, when you do pull it, make sure you do have buckthorn. One of the common mistakes is cherry. That's usually one that looks very similar to it. If you don't know, don't pull it. Anybody have any questions? Okay. Other than that, this is what buckthorn looks like. This is why we don't want it. And I think that's all I got to say about that.